It's not every day you see an anime get straight up canceled. I honestly, thinking about it, I don't think in my entire time of being an anime watcher have I ever seen an anime get canceled. I at least cannot think of it at the top of my head. And if there has been, I've never seen an anime get canceled after making fans wait 7 years. In fact, there was a trailer that even came out a few years ago saying that the movie was still in production and set to air as soon as possible. This was back in like 2020 when COVID was obviously rampant, but it doesn't change the fact that fans have been waiting and anticipating the release of the Yuri on Ice movie for 7 years. And the fact that literally on a random Thursday night, they announce, hey, Yuri on Ice is canceled, it's over, it's legitimately devastating news. And let's get headfirst into this. So Yuri on Ice is a series that maybe you might have heard of, you might not have, but it was definitely popular. And one thing in particular that is attached to this series that's going to surprise many that are unaware of it, if you look here on the side here, you'll see that Studio Mappa is the one that was animating this. They were the studio that worked on Yuri on Ice. The series came out in like 2016, 2017, over 7+ years ago, and basically, it made waves. I remember it winning, I think, Anime of the Year at Crunchyroll. I know that doesn't say a lot, but it was clearly popular enough to win Anime of the Year, and it was talked about everywhere. There was constant ads from, let's say, just different companies. You had, ice skaters talk about it, famous ice skaters, all sorts of things. Basically, Yuri on Ice really made a lot of waves when it came out. And even, in fact, thanks to just its popularity, even in an interview late last year, this interview came out from the CEO of Studio Mappa talking about the success of Yuri on Ice. Here, I'll read it for you. I had the desire to race when I was making Resident in Terror, Rage of Bahamut Genesis, and Garo Mark of Flame, which aired in 2014. However, we had a complex that we didn't have a hit movie, and didn't know how to make one. After that, we continued to make it through trial and error, and the first one that bore fruit was the broadcast of Yuri on Ice and In This Corner of the World, were released in 2016. It would be no exaggeration to say that the fate of Mappa, as a company, changed. Those two titles had such an impact that they were widely praised by those around them. The way it looks has also clearly changed. So basically, what this interview says is that Yuri on Ice and In This Corner of the World were basically pillars, pinnacles to getting the boots off the ground for Studio Mappa to even be able to pick up projects like JJK, Attack on Titan, Vinland Saga, Chainsaw Man. You get the point. It was thanks to the recognition that they received from those two titles is why they even are the way they are to this day. You could say that is a good or a bad thing, but the reason why some of the best anime we've ever seen in the recent years have come out is thanks to the overall impact of some of those earlier shows that Studio Mappa worked on. Now, to go a little bit further with this article that came out, Studio Mappa does highlight the fact that they didn't make a lot of money from Yuri on Ice, because they were, as this person even pointed out, I don't know if this is entirely accurate, but it does follow in line with what, this article said, and Studio Mappa did have a successful and very popular show, but they were basically very low in the production committee, and they didn't make money from Yuri on Ice. They barely made any profits whatsoever, and so even though it technically was a smash hit that gave them a lot of recognition, they didn't make any profits as a company. Anyone knows how Studio Mappa operates, and what this interview really highlighted was that they're all about profits. They're all about making money, etc. So when you factor all of this in, it might lead into maybe why the movie actually got canceled. I'll talk more about that in a second, but the point of the matter is that Yuri on Ice clearly has had an impact with the anime community for years now. And judging by just looking at the reactions to this tweet alone, this is just one tweet, not counting the hundreds that have been spawned from this. This current tweet has 11.4 million views, 68k likes, 95k quote retweets or retweets, more than the likes. It just goes to show how many people are talking about this, because, the quote retweets, you were probably having hundreds, 20,000, 30,000 likes on just one post alone. I mean, you could just sort from what people have been saying. You could see multiple people commenting on it. It's very clear that, a lot of people are absolutely devastated by this news. You even have voice actors talking about how they're devastated and, they're sad that, the series got canceled. It's just like, why? So let's get into that. Why did this happen? Why did Yuri on Ice, after 7 years of making fans wait for 7 years, giving a sprinkling of hope with trailers, etc., why now of all times did this happen? Well, we gotta look at something like this. This was posted yesterday. I became a little bit more aware of it, and this is an individual that left Studio Mappa relatively recently, Fuko Noda. Now, Fuko Noda, as an individual, was someone that was basically a producer of Yuri on Ice, as you can see here. And they left the company, and this came out, as you can see, this month, literally days ago. Like, a week ago, this information came out. And I even made a brief video talking about how Mappa lost even more employees. And so seeing this, it makes me wonder if the announcement of Yuri on Ice being basically shelved/canned was the result of this producer leaving. I wonder if the information was already out there and the producer found out and wanting to bring this series to the light of day, for instance, bringing the movie out to the fans, found out it got canceled, and was like, you know what, I'm done with this studio, and just left the company. I'm assuming potentially something like that could have potentially happened. I feel like the result of this producer leaving is probably why, because of the cancellation. I don't think the reason why it was canceled is because of the producer leaving. I think it was canceled because, and then the producer left. But, yeah, this is probably given some credibility to why it actually happened. And I feel like one of the big reasons why this happened in the first place, and why it was canceled, goes into the main point of what Mappa's main driven goal is. It's to have a smash hit and to make money. Now, to be fair, businesses do need to make money. Companies gotta make money. They gotta pay their employees, etc. And obviously, you could argue they're not paying their employees enough. I'm not gonna get into that one. The point of the matter is business does need to make money. They need to focus on profits. That's the truth. And because of that, Yuri on Ice, I'm assuming, I don't know this information, but judging by how it was in the past, they didn't make a lot of money off Yuri on Ice. They probably couldn't negotiate probably to make more money off the movie, and so Mappa was like, let's cut our losses and let's focus on projects that we can actually make more money from, have a better deal, so to speak, with the production committee and all that. So I'm assuming that's probably the case of what happened, is that they realized they were not going to make much money off of Yuri on Ice with the tight schedule they probably have, and so they just threw it to the side, which is very shocking, because Mappa as a company, they want to pump out as many works as they can to be able to make as much money as they can, and so them shelving something really just goes to show there is a structural shift going on within the company, either for good or bad, but it is very fascinating to see. Now, one thing I do want to mention as well that's really interesting about all this information is just that seeing this reaction, it goes to show its overwhelming popularity. That Yuri on Ice really was something that made a lot of waves. And I know people are going to instantly say, no, this series ain't that popular. Look, yes, if you're cross-comparing it with something like Demon Slayer, Dragon Ball, or something like JJK as of late, yes, Yuri on Ice cannot really compare to the overall weight to the anime community. But at the time period when Yuri on Ice came out in 2016, anime was popular, but nowhere near as what it is today. I think, as much as people don't want to admit it, Demon Slayer did bring a lot of newcomers, a new generation, and a lot of popularity to anime. It did. And thanks to just COVID and the lockdowns and all that, it caused a lot of more people to dive into more anime. So anime is as popular as it's ever been, so it's easier for more anime to build up in popularity than they once were in the past. So we look at Yuri on Ice and the phenomenon it was at its time period, it definitely was something that stood out. It was very popular, despite obviously anime not being nowhere near as popular as it is today. So, with all of that considered, Yuri on Ice is something that it saddens me to see it canceled. I really did enjoy the show. Hell, I even reviewed it. You can look at my channel and go back. I reviewed the episodes. I loved the show. It was great. And I love the song, let's make history, history. I love it. I know I'm a bad singer, but it's a good song. They had great music, great visuals. It was truly a stunning time period for anime, and it was definitely out of my comfort zone of what anime I would normally watch, and I enjoyed it a lot, and I know a lot of people did. So, it's sad to see this news, but is it really surprising, all things considered, when you have stuff like, what Mappa said in interviews, but also just finding out that, the producer left and all that, and then apparently Yuri on Ice doesn't make as much money as they want. It comes from their own mouth, so yeah, basically, it's just they're cutting losses, so to speak. Once again, it's still shocking. I don't think I've ever seen literally a movie, at least this high-profiled, get canceled. I could be wrong about that. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. But it is definitely a shocking endeavor that is clearly making waves today. But I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy my content and you enjoyed this video, or if you liked Yuri on Ice and you're going to miss it, do leave a like on the video. It does help me out a lot, and I would greatly appreciate it. But with that, be safe, stay healthy, Chibi out.